Hello and welcome back to Our Life, Beginnings and Always. We're still going with Derek. We're still doing all this stuff. Today is actually Summerween, but I don't have any spooky games yet. I do have a spooky game intention to play, and I kind of thought I would be here by now, but I'm not. So we're going to finish this up. This has been taking longer than I thought it was going to take. Here we are on the boardwalk. I don't remember if it's exactly the same or if they've made little tweaks here, or if this is everything that was there before. I never paid that much attention to it. Strawberry ice cream. Yeah. Maybe we're going to take bikes like the adults. You know, we're going to end up riding the Ferris wheel with Derek, right? And have our big moment like we did when we were kids. Anyway. After a very long ride and some struggles with parking, Derek had to resort to circling like a vulture until a spot opened up and you and Derek were strolling under a wide blue sky into the bustling boardwalk. Yeah, okay, everything's working like it should. The boardwalk amusement park was as dizzying and dazzling as it was 10 years ago. Music was playing from storefronts, screens blurred out the peaks of the coaster, and crowds of people were laughing and talking from all sides. I wonder where this is. I mean, there's a Six Flags near me, right? So this is kind of like what this is. I guess they have these in Los Angeles too. There's one in San Francisco for sure. You knew it as soon as the scent of the sea and fried food struck your senses that this was the right call for your last stop on your trip with Derek. At your side, Derek spoke soft and sentimental. It's the big memory place, one of the biggest moments we had together. I wonder what we went to the water park. There probably would have been a whole thing for that too, right? We made it. Took us long enough. Together you stepped further down the path. For a place that felt so alive, it was almost uncanny how little had changed over the years. The bike rental store was there, though they also offered shiny new electric scooters. There was still vibrant stalls offering a variety of fair foods, and the two big rides, the roller coaster and the Ferris wheel, continued to tower above the bustling crowds. You were sure of one difference without needing to see it. The face painting counter would have a total stranger running it. Xavier had moved on to decorating cakes rather than children's cheeks. Still, being there was a time machine to a summer long gone. You and Derek were two teens once again. He got your attention with enough boyish excitement to confirm it.
So?
What do you want to do while we can? We'll have to leave pretty early to make it back for the farewell dinner. But we can ride the rides, grab a treat, browse some stores, or hell, we can rent our own bikes if you want. His pure enthusiasm made frowns outright impossible. He chuckled, the joy vibrating through you coming out. What if you wanted to play a really miserable character and have frowns all the time? And these kind of things, you can't, because you gotta be a certain attitude in the Derek and the side character DLCs. Your first time at the boardwalk was an experience. It was such a huge trip. Both your parents and siblings had been there, but separated into two groups. For better and for worse, you went all across the very boards currently under your feet. Meanwhile, the adults hadn't had their heels on the floor. They were fitting to pedals. This is just awkward to read. The shock you felt learning they'd gone off on bikes without a care in the world was as fresh as ever in your mind, and that wasn't all that lingered within you. Important decisions about face painting, Nico being carried around like a sack of potatoes, snacks on a bench as the sun set, and the Ferris wheel. Viewing it not only in hindsight but as an adult made the moments even more significant. I love Ferris wheels. I know I said this before, but they're like my favorite thing to ride in places. They were precious. You'd never experience your first time here again, or what it was like to be 13 when the world was only beginning to open up wide. Man, this is some of the best writing in this whole moment. That just the idea of looking back on that nostalgia is just, yeah. Especially as like a lot farther along adult than this, it's crazy to go back to places I went when I was a kid and think about it and stuff. There are some places like this I'd like to go. I went to some amusement parks and stuff when I was a kid, and it'd be interesting to see them as an adult and see what they're like now. Even so, your thoughts weren't completely tinged in rose. A fuzzy blanket of nostalgia couldn't make you forget how it almost wasn't a nice time, how it only got to stay good because one person cared enough to make certain it did. How Derek Suarez cared more for others than himself. This is the entire motto of the story, right? Moral of the story. That remains starkly true about him more than a decade later. For the brief time he'd been in the area, he gladly let Nicholas direct the activity multiple times and did his best not to let Jorge feel left out. Derek gave up going to the water park so he could attend a business luncheon on his father's behalf. Well, we chose that. I mean, I wonder if we could have went to the water park or if he would have just said no. I'm getting the feeling that maybe there's no option there, that you go to the business luncheon regardless of whether you want to, regardless of what you pick there. Along with looking out for his own family, he never let that supersede your comforts or wants, and he accommodated your sister too, after he put in all the effort to help her come see everyone. So did he pay for it? I'm still trying to figure out how that works, how he put in all the effort. Like, did he just coordinate? I assumed he just coordinated with her and then got the parents to, like, give her a place to stay. But, like, did he help her pay for the trip and stuff? Is that what this is implying the whole time? Because it keeps saying this, and I didn't entirely understand that. Sometimes I read these really fast and don't think about them too much, to be honest. I hope you're getting something out of it, though. Derek even went against all his good boy standards and stuck into an apartment complex pool for the sake of the group. You were sure he had fun being part of the misadventures, but most times he'd been a passenger in the exploits, despite having to be the person who drove everyone else. I feel more like I'm a passenger in the exploits at this point, honestly. That answered Derek's question for you. I think that you shouldn't ask me what I think. This is your day to enjoy the boardwalk, after spending your whole life making sure everyone else had fun here. Derek's grin collapsed open, a crease formed in his brows. He was stunned and very touched. While the appreciation was unmistakable, he hesitated to accept such an offer.
Don't worry about that.
You don't have to do that. It's your vacation. You missed out on stuff too. You weren't surprised by that response, but it didn't play like a rejection. He only needed some extra encouragement, like a kid who thought it was bad to open a present before his birthday, even if he got permission from the giver. And it's your vacation too. A working vacation, but still. Eye contact temporarily failed him. Derek watched his own foot scuff at the spot where one slab of wood met another. A downturned face didn't hide the wide smile across it. I like that face for him. Thanks, Marina. Don't thank me yet. Have some fun first. Gradually, his normal confidence returned. It wasn't a mistake. He was doing something wrong. He wasn't doing something wrong. He could simply enjoy himself, and he would.
Come on.
Okay then, if you're positive, sure. Want to get our faces painted? We've got to start the day right. I had a feeling you might say that. Yeah, he laughed. That's a wonderful idea. We definitely can. I'll watch. Wow, what a binge. I do really want to play like a really binchy character in this at some point. Yeah, he laughed. Ooh, I always pick the yellow ones, I noticed. Derek spun a half circle and resolutely thrust a hand ahead of him, straight toward the chosen destination. I think I tried to comment on the colors earlier in the game. Like, it seemed like I was picking other colors before on, like, the cove moments and stuff, so, I don't know.
Nice!
I'm gonna get whatever I want. It could be anything. The sky's the limit! The cheer in his voice and the shimmer in his eye was better than any thrill the boardwalk could have offered. You know, I've never gotten my face painted as an adult. I mean, I don't have any reason to, because I usually don't go to events where there's face painting. But I've been to a couple, and the kids I was with didn't want it either, so I wouldn't have done it then, but, you know, if I would, it just never feels like it's appropriate, and I would never have time, or, you know, there's always some reason not to, basically. It's not something I really have that much nostalgia for either. Anyway, you almost had to feel guilty yourself. He'd done you another favor by allowing you to be the one who did him a favor. Oh, jeez. That tended to be the way it went. You weren't complaining about that particular dynamic. I don't like the way that's written, the way that reads. Derek is always like trying to do more, outdo people. I don't know. Hey, you getting one? Of course, I'll give it a try. You know, I don't need anything. No, when we were a kid, we did ourselves, and we wanted cool. With no time to lose and a plan in mind, you and Derek went to the old face painting stand with a new artist. Welcome, I've got a free spot if you need to see something you like. The painter was far less glamorous than Xavier, but no less friendly or worse at their job. If the new example photos were to be believed, they had their own flair in the strokes and choice of color. You ushered Derek into the seat. It was his day, and for once he was going to go first. After you. He appreciatively obliged, strutted ahead, and hopped under the raised chair. Derek still had no embarrassment over being an adult at face painting stall. It was nice to see. Oh, excellent. What can I get you? Derek took a polite glance at the offered styles on display, though didn't need any time to decide. How about a shooting star? Good choice. Oh wow, I like that a lot. That's actually really cool. It's one of my favorite things lately. I'm really into shooting stars. The artist wasn't simply being polite. Well, they might have been, but they shouldn't if they were. Derek beamed like a star himself. Nothing could have fit. Taking it from point to point before attaching a long tail, soon Derek's cheek was emblazoned with a bright star streaking across his face. They're actually going to do it too, aren't they? They're going to put the art on him, like they did with the other boardwalk trip. But they hadn't finished yet. The stall had upped its production value since you were last there. The artist added a finishing touch of glitter to the centerpiece and painted sparkles over the basic tail.
Whoa!
Oh yeah, he has the frickin'... Oh my god, this man. I love Derek. It was a pleasant surprise for Derek as well. He'd been sure of what he was getting and ended up with more. Hopefully that would be a pattern of things to come. Thank you. Derek shook the hand of the artist vigorously before bounding out of the chair to show you. Check it out. Not bad, huh?
Man!
Honestly, I always thought the shooting star was the coolest. It has the most going on of any of the options. But it's not exactly Nico's style. It's a perfect fit. You're a great big brother. I think it's cool too. You deserve a gold star. You're a great big brother. He let out a tiny laugh, only barely stopping himself and scratching the freshly painted cheek. And you're sweet, thanks. But he twisted on his heels and took 2 steps backwards. The front of the stall was clear and Derek was in place to keep watch. Your turn. Cool. You walked under the large umbrella that covered the stall and settled into the paint-spattered seat. Hello, what can I get you? It was a difficult question, but after some serious soul-searching, you said... I think we got like a soccer ball when we were a kid or whatever. Wow. What are we doing? I forget. I like the butterfly, but I'm trying to think Marina. Marina. What does Marina want now? There's nothing ocean related. There's sports stuff. I think Marina's gonna go with what Derek has. Of course, you'll be a wonderful pair. For the second time, at least with you and Derek, it might have been the dozenth for the day the painter put their talent into action. You'd forgotten how tickly bristles felt being drawn over your skin. You wondered how you managed to stay still for this in the past, or how even younger kids did it. It might be because the process wasn't too long. You were in expert hands while you'd been distracted by the unusual sensation, but they had finished. Your shooting star was topped off with a dash of glitter and the piece was complete. You smiled in the mirror and the artist angled at you. Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you, Chick-fil-A worker. When you rejoined Derek outside of the stall, he admired the charming composition. It got a thumbs up from him.
Awesome!
A classic. You paid the artist for their work, just you, since you were covering Derek, and he certainly wasn't paying for you, and then it was back into the thick of the park. Derek was on his way, and you were relieved to have him directing the course without a reminder to do so. So we're paying for everything, is what this is, too. We're also treating Derek. I like this one, though, a lot. Yeah, I'm thinking this might end up being a whole moment in and of itself. It's probably going to be about as long as the regular... We're probably going to do all the things we did in the boardwalk moment, or would have liked to do if we hadn't been babysitting Nicholas. Since we're here, we gotta ride the roller coaster. Yeah. Then what are we waiting for? Come on. I'd like that. You definitely should do it, but I'm not gonna ride. Yeah, this would be me in real life, but... Alright. Mutual thrill propelled you through the crowd, flying past the souvenir shops and the food stands so fast you could imagine yourself already on the coaster. The line was wrapped up around the whole base of the coaster, but neither of you intended to give up. You have that much time? You can be patient for your reward. Now, patient didn't mean calm. Derek restlessly bounced from heel to toe and repeatedly clasped and unclasped his hands, sometimes shaking his finger out. His behavior was more appropriate for someone about to jump into a big game they'd been training for all their life. But Derek had already gone through that kind of experience for real, so it was fitting for him. The thick row of people filed forward at a gradual pace. Derek shot out an eager chatter when he got to move. You know, I like waiting. I waited in a line for like almost 2 hours to get an autograph for someone at a convention recently. I don't mind waiting in line, but sometimes it feels like a long time, right? He held on to his high spirits the whole while, and eventually you reached the boarding platform. Finally, the suspense of waiting to be on the ride was replaced with the anticipation of the drop. You'd gotten the middle spot in the coaster, though with a bias toward the front. It was good with Derek, and that was good with you. Together, you piled in for the ride and closed the safety bar over your laps. A check of all the cars was performed as usual, and when the clear was given, the wheels cranked ahead. They pulled higher and higher to the peak of the man-made wood mountain until, without warning, the coaster careened over the other side. Derek hollered loud enough to hear over the shouts of everyone else, plus the clattering car, and your teeth clattering in your head. You zoomed through the twists and turns, being jostled around you like you were tossed into a tumble dryer. And then it was over. You jerked forward when the car's speed decreased significantly at the last leg. Once the car cranked to a crawl and rolled into the station, you headed across to the exit on the other side, making sure not to leave anything behind. All the fellow riders went down the path in a group. Derek was out of breath and buzzing with energy. You were in a similar state. After ruffling his already completely tousled hair, Derek sighed happily.
Phew!
That was great. Yeah. He began to drift over the boards again, heading nowhere but encouraged forward by the tide of the park goers coming through. He grinned over at you as sweet as a mouthful of cotton candy. What do you want to do next?
Wait.
No, what do I want to do next, right? Good job. It's all up to you still. Derek and you joined in with the laughter filling the park. Force of habit. Don't worry, I can keep reminding you. It's Derek's Day. Derek's Day, huh? I like the sound of that. He cast his focus up to the sky. Derek traced the edges of his jaw using his thumb and pointer finger. It reminded you of the way Mr. Suarez would stroke his beard thoughtfully and respectfully. Derek was missing the facial hair, but the effect was the same. Man, I'm sorry I keep yawning and stuff. What does Derek Suarez want to do? We've hit the roller coaster and face painting stall. I'm not huge into refreshments here, honestly. They got bikes and the scooters, but you can do that almost anywhere. You know, in my head, I'm hearing Dan Green as the voice of Derek. On top of that, time's running out before we have to leave, so... Up next is the Ferris wheel. We gotta do that before we go. Are they gonna do like a special cut-in for this with him in the Ferris wheel like they did for the other one? Yeah, time to literally end it off on a high point.
Awesome.
Alright, let's go. Derek glanced around to get the lay of the land. You'd wandered far from the coaster and entirely lost touch with where you stood in the park. But your new target was the tallest structure for miles around. There was no trouble in determining a path towards it. Together you made another crossing of the boardwalk. The line for the Ferris wheel wasn't as jam-packed as the first ride you stopped at. Far more guests could fit at a time, and it was simply less of a draw to high-end energy guests attending that park. Yeah, it's true, like it's a slower-paced ride. I like going to cities, like went to Dallas recently and saw that they had a Ferris wheel there. I thought that was really cool that that city actually has. I mean, St. Louis has one too. Just saying. I think Chicago does. A lot of bigger cities have these little attractions with Ferris wheels and stuff. Even beyond the basic, thing. You couldn't get on immediately, but the wait wouldn't take long. Derek's attitude of standing there was in stark contrast to how he behaved in the creeping crawl to the coaster. Creeping crawl to the coaster, thank you, GB Patch. His feet were firm on the ground. A ride attendee got the door for both of you. That didn't mean you couldn't add your own touch of cordialness. Please, you first.
Thanks.
How kind. That's 3-1, Derek. He promptly climbed in. You carefully got up the 2 steps into the car after. Derek sat in the right bench, the same side he picked the last time you were there. Yeah, there it is. It's Ferris wheel Derek. You sat on the bench across from Derek. I mean, I'll be honest here. We are big people, and these are not big seats. I've been in these things. It's not easy to sit next to someone. You're going to sit in the bench across from Derek. Derek held a thumbs up to you before turning to the attendant. The employee closed the tiny elevated room. You were fully encased inside it. It was muffled to raucousness so much you could believe the entire world had suddenly faded away. It didn't muffle the raucousness of this music in this part. Jeez. Glancing out the window showed that all was well. The car rocked forward, and you watch as the ground grew further away. You and Derek are completely unreachable there. For the duration of the ride, it was only you and him. It was the feeling in a way. That was freeing in a way. Derek seemed to think so too, because they got him to talk without reservation. This the vibe, man. Now this, this is the time when he talked to us like really frankly about how he felt about being a big brother and just vented to us. So this will be interesting to see what he talked about here. I know we didn't get to do all that much here. We're finishing up and the sun hasn't even started to set. But even still, this has been the best trip to the boardwalk I've had in years. He poked at a small chunk of glitter in his cheek and clumped together and stuck out from the rest.
You're seriously great.
I hope you know I really appreciate it. You're always looking out for me. I'm happy to. You deserve to have someone spoil you. You're welcome. I feel the same way about you. Yeah, I know. He smiled back now. I feel the same way about you. The Ferris wheel continued to go around on its set, unchanging path, always forward, never back. Even in the brightness of a summer's day, a shadow fell over Derek's face. I feel like if you were romancing this man, this would be, I wonder, like, you can probably kiss, right? Like, I would imagine. Oh, those clouds are so realistic, it looks like they're moving to me. If I unfocus my eyes, it's really weird. I just realized that it's like a different background now. We have the sky background on this. Like, because the Ferris wheel went up. Did it just, yeah, it just did that, right? Just now? Oh, no, maybe not. Huh. Interesting. Maybe it's been a little while. I don't want to go back too far.
Well...
Well, you succeeded in making me happy. Is it alright to ask you if you had fun too? Yeah, like, the idea here, I feel like it'd be interesting to see how the dynamics are different if you're actually a couple at this point. Or you're trying to, like, get with them or something like that. Instead of Marina, who is, you know, not interested in that sort of the dating scene all that much. Having a wonderful time. That's so like you. You're a very sweet man. Of course, anytime I'm having a wonderful time. Yeah. You're a very sweet man. Beep boop. Cool. His gaze dropped and his voice was low, heavy with the weight of emotional strain.
Thank you.
Thanks to you, I finally got to feel like I did when I was a kid for a little while. That means a lot. It's what I've been chasing since I got here. The big park, all dark and empty, Derek's pain and confession. The scene all flashed through your mind. His words rung out, how he felt he'd lost so much and could never get it back. I mean, it's never too late to act like a kid. You don't have to, like, go out of your way. You can just let yourself relax once in a while, you know? Let yourself just not have to be so professional all the time. Who cares what people think or who's watching? Maybe that wasn't entirely true after all. The soft smile on his face was exactly the same boy you once knew. Same as the boy you once knew. I do know that feeling, though. Like, the feeling of growing up and you have to, like, put on a certain attitude and, you know, be a certain way. You can't just, like, be as silly as you want or run around or... I don't, you know, and I don't do those things as much anymore, but it feels like I have lost. It's hard to get that back. I completely know how Derek's feeling here. It's amazing when you get those moments where you just are like, oh my god, I can just do whatever I want. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, remember that time you stayed over at my place and we camped out in the living room? We talked about the future and our dreams. The Father's Day thing might have been more of a bombshell, but I haven't forgotten the rest of that adventure. Yeah, same. We had such grand plans a decade ago, huh?
Oh man.
Now we're here and I have no idea what I'm doing. Derek pressed himself into the heavy metal wall behind the seat and slumped down onto it. I wonder what my 13-year-old self would have done if he'd called a psychic and they told him where his life would have actually gone. Maybe demand a refund? Come on, Derek. Everyone knows you're too polite to ask for your money back. You're right, but I would have thought about it. I'd have made a great speech in my head about how it's only fair to not have to pay for a reading like that. Derek's voice faded out, replaced by the sound of his fingers tapping against the seat. One after another, they played a rapid beat like fluttering of a heart.
This sucks.
Sucks that there's no way to actually know what's going to happen in the future, huh? I like it better that way. Live day to day.
Forget it.
At least today was fun. A good break from having to be grown-ups. Yeah, he sighed. It was a good day. I wonder when we'll see each other again. Oh, jeez. Thanks for letting... Boo, I want to be a kid forever, you joked. You had to appreciate the attempt at optimism. It didn't stop you from being bummed that it was all over. Well, I can't do anything about that dream. Sorry. Too bad. He grinned, staring you head on. Hey, you should come by again sometime, whenever you want to. Or can, anyway. Whenever? You sure about that? Yep.
Leave it to me.
It's my apartment. I'm an adult, and I can say that Marina Foster is allowed to visit all the time. He declared it proudly with a faux air of haughtiness. If his pitch had been a little higher, the statement would have been a fairly accurate imitation of Liz. It was all the more than a little silly, but the smile growing on your face stopped short of becoming full. Derek's bold-faced confidence was only pretend. Regret remained hidden behind every smile. I'm not going to be too busy for you anymore. I figured out what my actual priorities are way later than I should have, but I did.
I swear.
Part of that is being someone you can actually count on again, so my door is always open.
The truth is...
Since you've been here, I finally started to see what a future I want to have. I thought about it more and more, and it keeps coming back to the same thing. I don't want to be this far away from you. That was it all along, the entire time you've been staying with them. And even before you'd actually arrived, those were the words Derek had been holding back. He didn't restrain them any longer. I was hoping to be closer to you when I lived in the next city over. Being neighbors was my dream. I wasn't totally kidding about that. But I wasted all the years we had being at a manageable travel distance from each other. I pushed off facing you for real until I reached a perpetually moving goalpost.
I
regret that. I still do. I don't know if it'll ever stop pissing me off. Derek caught that his long-held anger began to carry him. He squeezed his eyes shut and forced a shaky, though steadying exhale out. That's not what matters, though. I can't redo the past. I gotta focus on what I can do. And what is that? I could move. I could live next to you now. You now. The clawing darkness of the past faded under the shining hope of a better tomorrow. Man, Marina travels around the world for shit. You're not gonna, be near them all the time. I'm just saying. I know the game won't let me actually define that, but that's how I've determined Marina. I mean, they're probably home more often than not. Why not, right? It's not as if I'd be canceling any amazing plans. I gave up everything before you got here. So this would be the best time for it. I don't have to renew my lease, and the career ideas I do have come with me. I can start them somewhere else. See, Marina wants to stay here and run your dad's frickin' surf shop with you. That's what they want to do. If we had that as an option, we would totally do that, but it never has been offered to us because, I don't know, maybe those guys are not too old enough to do that yet. Or hell, if you've been wanting to come back to this area for more than a vacation, I could keep the apartment and you could move in. I'd be up for either if you are. We could be there for each other day by day. For the first time, Derek expressed the whole and honest truth of what he wanted for his life, for himself, and it wasn't about his family, or only for your sake. But even then, Derek couldn't help pre-compromising his preferences. He doubted the appeal of his hopes to anyone other than himself.
Don't worry about that.
I get it if you think it'd be overkill, or if you'd still be worried about how it'd work out. It wouldn't have to be forever. Maybe it'll only last for a year, and then we'd have new plans. I'm gonna need time to figure out the long term either way.
So...
That's it. Derek's new plan. What do you think? I think it's perfect. I'll help you house hunt. One critique, you don't need to find a place. You can live with me. Derek, I respect what you want to do, and I don't want to stop you. Are you kidding? I'd kill to live in that apartment. Would it be alright for me to live with you? I'd love to visit again, but I don't think a good time for either of us to move. Wow. Okay. I think we're gonna go with this one. I don't think Marina, if I could ask the question, hey, can I just, talk to your dad about, becoming a partner in the shop? Because that's what they would want. Marina loves that, still loves the surfing and the oceans and stuff, but they moved away for a reason too. Like it's not about like moving back. So this is actually a really big choice. This is kind of a character defining moment. It's not Derek asking you to date him or anything. I imagine if it was more of a this is probably where he'd ask you to marry him if it was more of a relationship type thing you had going on. Heck, if you were in a relationship with Derek, I wonder if you would have already been living closer together. I mean, these seem really like I don't think Marina would be comfortable just moving in with Derek. I don't know. I feel like they're too much of an independent person. At this point in their life still. Not ready to settle down and do something like live with it, even as a roommate, right? Derek, I respect what you want to do and I don't want to stop you. I think it's the I'll help you house hunt. I think that's what we have to do. Because, like, I don't know that they would want Derek... Like, what they really want is to move back here, but all these other options are kind of, like, hard. I think we'll go with the oh, this is so hard. Sorry, this choice is such a hard choice. Would it really be alright for me to live with you? This one is so bitchy. I hate it. You know what? That was almost too good to be true. You could be with Derek at a great place right by your family and friends. You'd hope for it yourself, and for a moment wondered why something that perfect hadn't come up before. I think it's time. I think it's been, some years of soul searching around, doing travel and doing all this stuff, but I think Marina could come back to Sunset Bird. And they want to work on Cliff and Gregorio and letting them partner in the damn business. Run the damn surf shop, because Cove certainly isn't going to. And the next instant you remembered why. Neither of you pictured the other feeling the same way. You imagined Derek was pursuing his sports dreams and never would have interrupted that. He saw himself as unworthy of others' acceptance until an abstract level of success was attained. But those days were behind both of you. The answer you gave and the dazzling smile you gave Derek was proof of it.
Really?
He nodded with complete resolve. There wasn't any need for doubt. Absolutely, Derek Suarez. Ooh. I wonder if he has the same reaction to if you accept a marriage proposal. His arm shot up as he whooped through the victorious cheer. Unfortunately, the Ferris wheel car wasn't built for that kind of celebration. His fist cracked directly against the metal ceiling of the cabin. But he laughed heartily, shaking off his smarty knuckles. Nothing was going to bring him down. He started to ramble off moving logistics and preparations that needed to be made. Informing the landlord to be a occupant was paramount, but he was positive she wouldn't mind, and you'd be able to keep that key he'd given you from the start, of course. It was dry, grown-up responsibility stuff, yet it sparked more excitement in you than any amusement park could have. Derek was able to rein in the frenzied babbling long enough to extend a hand toward you intently. You understood what he meant by that. Hey! Hey, remember the freckles. That's a lot of freckles. I think I added them on the arms and stuff, and that's probably why I added that. And yeah, we have the big hand. This is kind of cool. You took hold of one another and securely and shook. It's way more realistic and better hands than the weird like Cove hand they did earlier in the thing. Yeah. I'm gonna probably quit after this moment though.
It's a deal.
Deal. Wow. He slowly let you go before staring down his hand in wide-eyed disbelief as if it wasn't his. But it was. Derek had taken his own life into that hand of his. He believed he wouldn't lose hold of it ever again. I actually did it. He scuffed his fingers His scuffed fingers curled into a fist, then lifted his intense green eyes to your face. Derek had grown and he'd held himself back. He changed and he'd remained himself. He developed into an adult that he should be proud of, and he was still the boy you met 10 years ago. I'm gonna make a No, I'm not. Well, we'll just go with this. It would be interesting to see what the different options they're turned into, but I don't want to do too much. Yeah, let's save it. Let's make a separate save here. Was that this one? I don't know. We'll put it there. It was all true at once, and it made you happier than you could say. I'm feeling better about the future already. Thanks, Marina. Derek had gained genuine confidence. He trusted his own decisions now that they were made to seek the best. They were made to seek the best instead of trying to hide from the worst. Nothing in the world was more heartening than that. Yeah, it's about the time when I moved out of college, actually. I am too, Derek. Derek satisfiedly stretched out his arms in front of him. He learned his lesson about moving them higher. Like when I moved into my first apartment. That's about the time and the age they are. It's interesting. My first apartment outside of school. Well, I might not really know what I'm doing in my own life, but I've at least got a nice apartment, a great location with a balcony, and my favorite people all around. I'd take that as a win. How do you pay for the apartment, Derek? What do you do for a living that you pay for that? I forget. You shook with the swaying of your personal cabin and of laughter, too. Derek snickered himself, but clung to a piece of the prior seriousness.
Phew!
It's a relief, though. Feeling good about sticking around here is more progress than I'd had a few days ago. Than I had a few days ago. And 23 is not that old. There's plenty of time left to work it out. You got more things figured out than you think. The world's our oyster, Derek. You don't need your whole life planned anyway. Yeah, that right there. Right there. That's the Marina answer.
Maybe.
You're usually right about stuff. For the first time in his waking hours, Derek was completely at peace with himself. Your spirits had flown straight to the moon like a pair of shooting stars, though physically you were still in the gently drifting cabin and its position was on the decline. The ride came to its end, you were ready for that, and whatever else you'd inevitably face. You had a teammate right in front of you to tackle life's challenges with. When your cabin arrived at the bottom, took your turn to dismount. The same attendant gestured toward the tall framed exit gate and thanked you for coming. Derek, doing as instructed, you left the Ferris wheel behind you. Derek took wide, peppy steps to clear the way for the next passengers to get through.
Whoa!
And he abruptly came to a complete halt. What time is it again? I completely forgot that was probably going to have to be our last stop. He was glancing all around as if he'd be able to spot a clock floating in the air with enough persistence. Eventually, he recalled he owned a cell phone. He discreetly chuckled while he dug it out of his sweatpants pocket. Yeah, damn, we gotta go. We might be pushing it a little already. You got people to see. Derek shoved his phone back in its place with a terse sigh. The second I have fun, being responsible goes out the window. I'm sorry. Hey, it's not like I was doing any better, and we're both enjoying ourselves. No one's gonna be mad. Plus, me leaving is only temporary now, thanks to you.
Exactly!
You get to see the bros, mom and dad, and your parents whenever you want soon. Let's head out. Together, you bonded across the boardwalk one last time. The energy still filling the area was thrilling, and the rush made it easier to leave it behind. Soon, you were packed into Derek's car on the long trip home to truly your home, after having made the most of the afternoon you got. Well, yeah, we're gonna leave off there. I think that's about where we want to leave off. I think it's this one, right? Yeah. Thank you for coming along. We'll hopefully really actually wrap it up next time. I hope. We'll see you then.